Tranquility.
Welcome, Tranquility Community. This is the Iris, hosted by me, Ski Free Yeti. We are doing things a little bit differently today, however. We have with us fellow moderator, Thuggington. Upper left, we have producer and coach of Solo Cup, Zuby. And then Zuby3, Zuby, formerly LTV, TLV. And then right above me
no
here,
TLV actually now.
and then right above me here, we have our commissioner and provider of the swag, Cavalier.
Hi.
All right, so we're doing things a little bit differently today, guys. We are not doing your traditional podcast. So if you came here looking for spicy takes and us to do things to make people pissed at us, you might be in the right place, I guess. Still, I don't really know. It depends on your outlook for season 3.
True.
It's
we'll
distinctly possible. But we are here to chat basically about nothing but season 3, guys. That's the big thing today. Zuby is hiding currently, but figure out what's going on there. But anyways, like I said, guys, we're here for Town Hall. We're going to talk about season 3. That's been on the topic for a lot of people because season 2 is winding down and the community is continuing to grow. I'm sure you guys are seeing that. New members are rolling in on the daily. Oh God, Windows Defender summary, go away. So the league is continuing to grow very quickly right now, and we're looking to expand for season 3. Things are going to be changing pretty drastically. We're going to see a lot of new things coming, things that should make some of our long-time, more veteran players a little bit happier, and then at the same time, some stuff that will be allowing us to welcome in a lot of new talent to the community as well. So we're excited to show you that, guys. Really quick before we get going here, for those of you who attended the meetups, International Tranquility Community Meetup Day this past weekend, that was freaking awesome. You guys all, I went to the Minneapolis meetup, tons of fighting potatoes, a few of the Alt F4 boys, the dad cast got together, we took some pics.
It's hot.
Yeah, if you need some material for yourself, like at 2 a.m. when you're lonely,
It's hard to handle.
Then Cavalier was hosting a meetup in Toronto. Zuby was there. These two connected on an emotional level.
And sexual.
And sexual, yeah.
Distinctly.
Oh, you need to listen to Cav snoring. That's all I gotta say.
It's not pretty.
Well, is it drunk snoring as well that made it worse?
No, it's it's not good.
I resemble that. And I know there was meetups in LA and Kansas City,
Chicago.
in Chicago as well. The meetup team down there, they got broadcasted on that stream. That was pretty damn cool. And then the impromptu meetup in Omaha, that just happened. There's 2 people, but whatever. You know, it's still fun. Guys, it was a lot of fun. A lot of pics, a lot of swag, lots of awesome stickers. Look at my giant Meta Reject sticker right here.
Solo Cup?
Just saying.
What up, it's your boys?
And I'm still repping the old squad as well. Don't forget. Never forget. Hashtag.
Roughhousing Spudniks, I respect that.
Anyways, guys, we're going to dive right into it. We've spent enough time sitting here bullshitting about the meetup. Season 3 is right around the corner here. We had a lot of questions that were discussed in the Discord over the week. And we spent some time, Cav specifically spent some time typing up some answers, and the admins discussing things. And we're going to be taking a look at all that stuff here really quick. So let me pull up the specifics here so you guys can see it, and we'll be kind of going through this here one by one, just describing basically how this whole thing is going to go down. Coming up here, season 3. Obviously, some of these things are subject to change, but what we're going to be doing here throughout this town hall, if you have additional questions, we're going to try to field them as they come in through the Twitch chat. If for some reason we don't, oh, what was the April Fool's secret? There was no April Fool's joke. That was the joke. Yeah, just get smoked, rolled and smoked by doggies. So if you have additional questions that come up as a result of the things we are saying here, keep in mind first and foremost, none of this is fully final. We are always open to additional discussion on the matter. But that said, these are kind of the guidelines we're planning on going with for season 3. So if things might change, and if they do, we'll keep you guys aware of what's going on. But as that comes up, we will do our best to make sure that you guys are brought in the loop on everything here. But again, if you do have additional questions, guys, please post them in the Twitch chat. Also, if you have additional questions, you can put them into the Discord channel, the Town Hall Questions Discord. Thuggington will be interrupting me as we go here. So let's start burning through that really quick here. We will start off with a question from... Oh, I clicked the wrong button. Oh, God. We'll start off with a question from Anarchy of Havoc. And the question was, this season was...
7-4!
Yeah.
7-4!
Yeah, Meta Rejects actually 8-4. I'm just saying, we took out the trash last week. So we're going to go into this question here from Anarchy. It's our first question. This is a controversial policy that came into place this season, was grandfathering. What grandfathering is basically people who were above the SR cap of $34.99, but were in the season last year, had an opportunity to still be part of the community on a team, but they had to take a penalty additional. Every point above that $34.99 cap was worth additional SR towards the total team average. So the question was, will there be grandfathering in the upper league, or will it still be based on the current SR at the time of the start of the league, so at the lock-in time, or at the peak SR? So, Cav, if you want to kind of run that down.
Yeah. So, I basically I do answer this question here, and you'll see my text here. I'll just read it off and basically go through my reasoning at the end. Uncertainty. As to the direct meaning of this question, so I'll try to answer it in the broadest sense. Grandfathering will not be allowed in Season 3. It was a controversial thing that we tried to implement in Season 2 and worked with mixed results. There were 2 SR guidelines, and for the upper and lower tier, you'll need to fit in one of those categories in order to be rostered on a team. Those values, as of right now, are 2,000 to 3,000 and 2,800 to 3,600. If you do not meet the minimum value of the tier, you must be counted at the floor of the rating. For instance, if I'm 2,700 and you want to play in the upper league, you can be playing that league, but you must be valued at the 2,800 rather than the 2,700. If we take the value we will take will be your current SR at the time of roster lock. However, basically, I just say, like, if you're trying to debate the system, we're going to keep our eyes open for that. Like, if you're 3,000 for 4 seasons, and then you all of a sudden show up, like, I'm a 2,500. I'm like, we'll see.
We'll see.
And then... So we're going to go to the next question here. I didn't see any follow-ups here. But again, that number right now is 2,800 to 3,600. And I know it's going to be a hot topic for a lot of people asking about that upper tier level. And it's still one of those things that we are constantly talking about. And it's going to kind of be based on the needs of the league. It's going to result in some people who are currently in the community to not be able to be on a team next season. I mean, unfortunately, that's just kind of the natural progression of things. Things change, guys. So we will.
If you're in the upper echelon, if you're in that bell curve,
Mhm.
right, in those top deviations, then yeah, it's not looking good for you.
Right.
Unfortunately, we gotta look at it as the league as a whole and who we're trying to help out the most. And unfortunately, people in that, like, masters level plus the 3,600 plus are the minority to a large extent. They're, less than 10 people. So it's something where we kind of have to draw a line at some point, and we have to look at what teams will be able to make in terms of their average in order to make a team. Because if, like, I set the rating too high, then basically we just have to go out and grab all Masters players and rebuild teams from scratch. And that's not really helping anybody that's already here.
We do want to look for opportunities to bring in the higher tier players to do things, perhaps additional branches off with community affiliated open division teams, perhaps something currently standing Ascension team. there's obviously things we would love to do, but these are all very much in their infancy, guys. So nothing is set in stone regarding people who are above that level. But we still would love for you guys to be a part of the community as a coach, or obviously participate in pugs and everything like that. We would love for you to still be a part of that. So
yeah, there's coach and GM opportunities. I mean, at some point, it's like I said, you just have to draw that line, and
and it's
we're not doing it to be malicious. We're not doing it to be like screw those guys. It's
not a slight against the higher rated players as well too, or just a salute to how much you guys have genuinely grown. That you get to spread your wings, as cheesy as it sounds.
Well, and we look to you guys who are the top end players, honestly, in this community, because the community, as Cav has mentioned before, it was built on the prospect of growth. As a team, as a player, becoming a better player, and you guys have done it. And you're basically like you walk down the aisle with your graduation cap now. But again, obviously, pugs are still going, guys, and we'll still have coaching opportunities. We really would love for you to get part of the community. Respect. But anyways, moving on to the next question here. BethCon 2 of Solo Cup asked this question: will current members of the league be given a priority for new team formation, or will it be coming on a first come, first serve basis?
Sorry, I'm looking through chat here, and people are saying, is this like final? And the answer is it's probably going to be in that ballpark, but it might shift a bit. The other number we were playing with was 37. But that's basically the highest number we were going with. But that is, I have a feeling that's going to be a little too high. But it depends.
Right.
So I have to wait and see at the end of the season to see exactly where everybody's falling. Right now, I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at it as the league as a whole, and that's kind of the ballpark area we're in. So to answer that question. As far as will current members of the league be given priority for new team formation, or will it be a first come first served basis? So players within the community will be given preferential treatment to start new teams. However, the buck stops with me. I'm going to make the call on new teams coming into the league. Running and operating a team in the league it's a privilege. Like you need to be active. You can't just be like, I just want to start a team just cause, and and not really participate within the community, and
no fair
yeah, exactly, no fair weather owners. Yeah, like the whole point of the league is to be active, engaging, and basically honest. If you're that, well then hey, you're off on the right foot. So
I think it kind of speaks to a different vetting process for having people come into the league and different captain. And I don't think it's something anybody that's considering wanting to be a captain or wanting to be a GM. It's like, oh, that'd be cool. I'm the captain. I can make all the decisions. No, you get to, but you then have to. And leadership isn't a joke, and it's not something to take lightly. So if you are considering it, please really weigh those options, not just because you don't feel like listening to anybody else anymore. And hey, I get to make all the decisions. It is an undertaking.
As well as the fact too that's not a slight against like new people that are becoming outside of the league that can still operate teams. Once again, we're going to go through a vetting process. Just because we have someone in the league may want to start a team, and if they don't have the right attitude that kind of matches up with either carrying a team as well as like commitment level, like you can be a player on a team, but still you don't have to be in leadership, because that's unfair through many situations, whereas we have teams that are very viable and very willing to kind of expand there.
Right, and it's important to keep in mind too, guys, like we as admins still want to push we try to make the league feel, or this community feel, as big as possible while still maintaining the atmosphere that we kind of strove to build this season. So obviously with the community growing, we still want to put in the effort that we are currently putting in now with the podcast. The production that Zuby put in has been out of this world, better than communities much larger than us. And we still want to put these things in, but it also requires the captains and GMs to also be active participants. I still tap captains on the shoulder multiple times weekly, and Cav does too, to do things for the community. And it's an expectation, if you are a captain, you will be helping us. because we also need to rely on you. There are captains this season there's a captain this season who couldn't handle it and left. So we don't want to have that happen. So we will be vetting very carefully. So keep that in mind, guys. Don't see any questions regarding this one.
Nah, I didn't see it either.
Yep, so let's move on to the next question here. This one's from Kingdom of the Meta Rejects, future Season 2 champion Meta Rejects, that is.
God.
I know, right? With community about to explode in size. Massive. Oh my god. What rules will be more enforced than we were used to in Season 2?
You want me to take that one?
You can go ahead, Zoops. Go ahead.
Go for it.
I think we all learned a lot from Season 2. It provided the admin team nuanced challenges to deal with. And as far as new rules coming in there really won't be many changes that are too crazy. New rules outlined in the change graphics produced by Yeti are the only major ones in mind at the moment. Are how we deal with players on rosters who are suspended or needing leave of absence required. And that's something we will get down the line in the podcast. You'll be hearing like a little bit more today.
Yep, we'll be producing those graphics up. I was too busy being completely exhausted from the meetup yesterday to get graphics put together, but we'll have some more details regarding, how those suspension rules will be handled next.
Yeah.
I think from that end, on this end, we had a lot of unprecedented things happen throughout the season that we had to make a lot of judgment calls on the spot, and it was kind of, we realized like, okay, we're going to probably go through a few scenarios in the off season and really figure out how we're going to enforce some of these unique situations. And we learned a lot, like Zuby said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely a learning curve for all of us this season. I think Cav has mentioned before on multiple occasions that this season felt very different in a lot of ways than Season 1. And it felt the same in a lot of ways, too. There were still some teams who disappeared.
There's just, no matter how much planning you can do, there's stuff that's going to pop up. And, sometimes, we had to make some snap decisions. And we don't like doing that, but sometimes we had no choice. And that was
as well as even with people whose ideals matched up a lot with ours. Sometimes just genuine life gets in the way, and it's unfortunate that things happen like that. But you may have to take over does, or team doesn't end up working out. So just take it.
All right, so I'm not seeing any additional questions on this one, so we're going to move to the next slide here, guys. Appreciate your continued patience as we break down this stuff. Yojack, Captain Otaku asked, would it be possible to implement a stage playoff system like OWL, or does that infringe on Blizzard's copyright? That's something actually that I do want to spend some time talking about really quick. Blizzard has obviously they have a pretty big legal team. I don't know if you knew that. They're not just a small indie company.
Despite our knowledge.
Yeah, despite all the memeing, they're not a small indie company, so we have a lot of rules that we need to follow as a community. First and foremost, in an official capacity, you'll see none of our public information, our public logos, our stream titles. None of them will say Tranquility League. They'll say Tranquility Community. We are not a league. We are a community. Keep that in mind, guys. In addition, we'll have the two divisions, higher bracket and lower bracket, and each team plays every team in their bracket once a stage, then takes the top teams from both bracket and have them play in a stage playoff tournament. Gives the teams in the lower bracket a chance of taking down the teams in the higher bracket and more than just the season playoffs. This one, a lot of information here, and Cav, I'm going to let you take this because it had a little bit...
this is basically my opinion, and you may agree with it, you may not. But this is just me, but I personally hate the way Overwatch League does their seasons and stages. I think it's a jumbled together mess, and with no prize structure, it doesn't add any value to us. We can already see teams in Stage 1 who have horrible schedules and it not being truly reflective of their talent where they should be. Like, for instance, you see like Shock playing Vancouver twice, and they're playing, the best teams, and then they're getting, dunked on. And it's just like, oh, well, that's just bad stage. Like, well, okay. Like, I don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
I prefer the way we do it with a long season. It makes playoffs mean something. Like that one playoff run. Like, you can't be asleep at the beginning of the season. Every game, every match will matter. And to go back onto Yojack's second question, while lower teams playing upper teams could be fun, it would be extremely mismatched. Minor teams don't go around playing teams of the majors, and there's a reason for that. Even the best team in the lower division playing the worst team in the upper division would still have a pretty sizable gap.
And don't get me wrong, I mean, especially from an Iris perspective, guys, there's a good chance we might throw some events together where we do have some interaction between the two divisions. And as especially kind of somebody who is managing like the podcast piece and everything, kind of the community, as a whole here, guys, the big thing with that is that I don't want the community to turn into a situation where we have something that's seen as a major league and a minor league. Obviously we're going to have a higher tier. Yeah, we're going to have a higher tier and a lower tier. That's just kind of the way it's going to work out. But that we don't want the lower tier to feel like the shit league, and we want the upper. We want both leagues to feel equally important. Mm-hmm. They might not to some people, and there's nothing we can do to enforce that with people. And that's all we can do. And, sorry, go on, Kev.
No, I was just going to say, and you'll see a couple other rules that you might not like that we're going to bring up in the next couple slides that you're going to be like, well, that doesn't make sense, or that's silly, or why is it like that? And the reason is because, yeah, we don't want the lower system to be the farm system. We want it to be its own independent unit that cares about itself rather than just feeding into the upper bracket. And Solitary brings up a good point with regards to this question, which is in the stage divisions, they all play on land. So they can choose what patches they play on. We don't have that ability. When something goes live, guess what? It's live. Like, we can choose to deactivate a hero, but if a change goes through, that's it, brother. Like, you're playing with it.
Right.
Spooderman just brought up a great question. I want to take a quick moment to answer it. Is will the Iris be split between the two tiers? Thug, do you want to take that one?
No. The Iris we'll have one Iris podcast for both tiers. And the reason we're doing that, we don't want to create, kind of like we said before, a divided community with an upper tier and a lower tier, and people only pay attention to one or the other. Will that mean maybe a little bit less time covering everybody as a whole? Probably. I think time's going to allow that. We'll try to give everyone, just like we did this season, everyone kind of a fair shot of coverage. Some things are going to be more dynamic, but I know on-air production being between Yeti and myself, we work really hard to make sure, and that was something we talked about at length, is making sure that the lower division has something to hang on to and has a voice and isn't forgotten about because they're not higher SR players. Mm-hmm. I know when Cav created this whole crazy love child of his, the idea was it was a gold plat league, and that core isn't going away. So it's kind of long story longer, one podcast, but we'll give everybody love. There's enough love between Yeti and myself to go around, I promise.
And I mean, that's the thing from my perspective too, is just from a sheer time perspective, I'd rather devote my time into putting together one really strong podcast about the entirety of the Tranquility community rather than two podcasts that I have to put two separate production efforts into. It would turn into a nightmare, and I don't want to have to put myself through that, because I already go a little bit insane. I'll probably go completely nuts, and my wife will leave. So don't want that, guys. Beth, we'll get to your question later. It's actually something that's going to come up. There's a lot more coming, guys. There's a lot more coming.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah. We're going to, I don't see anything additional. Any of you guys have anything additional to add to this one, or should we move on to the next slide?
Let's move on.
All right. Next question comes from, again, Yojak of Otaku. Will we have a scheduled feature match day to avoid scheduling issues for Season 3 and to give audiences a consistent day to expect Tranquility matches to be streamed? This is a quick answer. Zuby, do you want to take this one, or Cav, either one of you? Not all at once?
I can do it. We took a poll to captains prior to having this town hall meeting, and the majority of them were okay with Sunday being the dedicated feature match night for a pretty decent amount. I mean, it was probably a 65%, 70%.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it looks like that's the day we're going to try and focus on. Some nights that Sunday might not work, and but we're going to try and stick to one night if we can.
Right, and the benefit of doing one night is multi-tiered. Like, for one, if people are outside the community and want to watch, they have access to that information. And two, Sunday nights, for those of you who aren't aware, we also have an issue where Blizzard watches, they don't like when large communities have streams going on at the same time as Overwatch League.
Yes.
Which I get. It makes sense. I understand that we're really that close to the Overwatch League, so I can understand how there's a bigger problem there. But it's something that we want to have a consistent night for people to consistently tune in, catch that Tranquility community action. And it also helps from a production standpoint, from a caster standpoint. It's going to be much better this way, much more consistent. So
we're making the same salary, so
yeah, exactly. That's true. Good point. All right. Next question here is from Gecko of the Season 2 champion Meta Rejects. With more teams getting...
You're such a dickhead.
I deal with it. With more teams getting involved and bringing in more people who join because their friends are here, is there any plans to further engage the untapped community beyond the feature match and podcast? And we actually had some trouble fully understanding what the question was here, but I think... we got this one. I'm going to take this one since I do a lot of the community stuff. It's a lot of work to put on those extra tournaments. Widow 1v1 on a paintball, the Mystery 2v2. Our goal is to facilitate the tournament first and foremost. All other events are extra, and the tournament being the overall season. Obviously, we can't fully guarantee anything at any given time. And we don't have any set dates in mind. We really don't have any set things in mind, guys. But for Season 3... my goal is to make sure that the community, even those not on teams, constantly feel like they are being engaged with. Yes. So that is my goal. I know Thug has that same goal.
Yes, 100%.
The community as a whole is not just about the season is obviously the big piece. The season, our weekly matches, that's obviously the big key for the community as a whole. But from my perspective, the community is about the people, and I want to give to the people. So I am a people person, I like to think.
Communist.
Yeah, I know, right? Do you guys have anything additional to add to that, Cav, Zuby?
Well, one thing I would like to do, which I've kind of discussed, it's been kind of pretty much piggyback that the pugs have been my brainchild.
Mm-hmm.
I was initiated, but also talking about engagement, getting more involved in want to be involved.
Getting what? I'm sorry.
Pugs. Getting more people involved who aren't on teams, pugs, making actual pug lobbies that we have, just in case people don't get fat kids.
It would be nice to have everybody on frequently for pugs. I would definitely encourage it. Pugs are a lot of fun too. It's fun. We had tons of fun last night doing pugs. We also want to do something a little additional. We're gonna something that it's kind of a brainchild we're discussing right now is in the off season doing some kind of official pug night for free agents, basically and we'll stream those, we'll cast those just to give some additional exposure to these free agents who don't necessarily have those network opportunities. Some of these teams are already built up. Or Zuby, you might have a close friend who you're like, yeah, dude, I want to get him into Solo Cup in the high tier next season. But some of these people might be coming in fresh, and we want to make sure they have an opportunity to get on team.
Well, yeah, no, of course. It's basically like a free agent showcase.
Yep. Exactly the name I was going to use for it.
The Combine.
Yeah, the
Combine.
The
Combine.
Ooh,
that's hot.
Ooh, I like it. The Tranquility Combine. I love it. So we'll cover that, guys, during the off season. The off season, the Discord is still going to be active, so pay attention to the Discord, guys. It'll constantly be up and running. So,
do any of you own Murray's hair cream and a tweed blazer? Because you can cast the combo.
Oh my god,
I may or may not have those.
I may or may not have them. So.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next question here, guys. Keep things moving along here. Garbaggio of Harmony and Chaos comes in with a question: making trades the only way. This is not even a sentence, but
yeah,
the effort was there, Garbaggio.
Way to go, Harmony and Chaos. Way to represent.
Top tier effort.
Statement.
Top tier.
And I'm not even sure if he was just trying to troll with this, but I'm like, it's in the questions. I should ask.
Right.
Actual cunning linguist.
Cav, go ahead and take this one.
Yeah, basically I'm just explaining how trades exist, but they basically don't work all the time. So, yeah, I'll just read it. Unfortunately, this does not work in practice. Players have a large breadth of reasons why a situation might not be working for them, and sometimes they have no choice but to release themselves from a team. Trades are a very rare thing. Stars need to align in order to make a trade work, and the benefits could be both for both teams. I go into an example here, basically why you would want it, but it basically has to be, you have to have both team captains, the people being traded, and everybody be on the same page. The only benefit to it is that you can keep your locked in SR. and then make that swap. Like it's very convoluted, and there's very few circumstances where it worked. We almost had one this season, but it didn't go through.
Yeah. Well, we did actually
I
have
think
one.
I think
Ivy Cat and Guava from Solo Cup and Meta Rejects.
Yeah,
we traded over the rights there. It was actually a 3-way trade, but
Oh well,
details
right.
kind of sparse in my.
well, and it's difficult because as team GMs, I mean, no one's getting paid. We don't own you as a player.
Right.
Right.
You can go, no thanks, deuces. And-
trade is such a weird thing because there's no monetary value, so
No.
it's
I think
basically
that-
like schoolyard. Like
I think
Yeah.
that's just
We're not
kingdom.
players aren't assets; they are people. So that's the main reason why it doesn't work.
Yeah, no one signs a contract, so we're not really trade contracts, but
Right. It'd be
sometimes it works, and I think it's more of a when it's between different GMs and different captains that maybe already have a long-running relationship. And I think Zubies is a good example. It's, well, dude, don't sign her, please, because we need this person. You can take this person if we can sign that person.
Right.
And no one really cares because everyone knows each other. And again, that's a huge community thing and why it's important to get to know each other.
All right.
We skim from the top, Gilliman. Right.
All right, so we'll move on to the next question here. It's a quick question from Chaplin, who's the coach of Liquid Nova. Will there be a change to everyone must play at least 2 games to possibly just 1 to allow teams more strategy and subbing? And I'm going to ahead and take this one because it's something I'm passionate about. No. Everyone plays 2 maps. The thing is, guys, is obviously in Overwatch League, they don't do that. That's Overwatch League. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line. This is the Overwatch Tranquility community. There are exactly $0 on the line. So this is not a league. I mean, winning is important. Don't get me wrong. I love winning. Winning is a ton of fun. Winning the championship when it happens for Meta Rejects is going to be a lot of fun too. I'll stop. I'm
Coming
sorry,
in
guys.
2024.
I'll
For
stop that,
Overwatch
guys.
2.
I'm sorry. But like the thing is, guys, is this is not just about winning. This is also about building yourself as a player in a team environment. And in order to keep roster balanced, like if let's put it this way, if you had a 2650 team and you had a bunch of 2800s and a few silvers who were locked in at 2000, then in theory you could just leave the silvers on the bench the entire time. And basically then you don't have a 2650 team anymore. You have a 2800 team. And is there a huge difference there? Maybe not, but that's not the point, guys. Like, we have to have the 2 players, and that's not going to change. It's not going to go away in any capacity, any way, shape, or form. Don't ask, because it's not going away.
and not to mention in season 1 we did have the 1 map rule,
It was a mess.
And it was a
and it was very one-sided and weighted. So that's
I
why
will
we
not
did
name-
bring in the 2.
I will not name which team, so we're particularly of it, but we had a team that actually had 3 bronze players, whereas they had a team pretty much primarily diamond. Besides that, it made it very for the admin team, or specifically admin person, I'm Cav, to try and balance and have communication. Sorry.
Right.
Kitty had a question earlier,
Yeah.
just about SR in general. If we join the league at a higher SR and legitimately fell from, let's say, 25 to 23, are we always locked in our highest SR for the league? Roster, it's a seasonal thing. So every season, your roster, your SR average will get reset. So
Yeah.
if you get a 25 and drop to 23, you're 25 for as long as you're on a team. So yeah, that's just kind of the way it works.
And what we were saying about previously was just like if it's obvious you're throwing your SR to fit onto it, that's when we're going to call you out. Like if it's I've been 3000 for the past 5 seasons, and all of a sudden I'm at 2400. Like, okay, bud, like did your arm get blown off? Like what happened? Like, in that circumstance we'd question. But if you're like, 2400, 2500, 2300, okay, like you're within the ballpark. Like, you're not fluctuating so much that we look at that and go like, okay, we're gonna
For example,
slam
as
the
well with
brakes.
higher, for example, with the higher tier as well too. If you have someone who's been 3,500, 3,600 for 4 or 5 seasons, but their account decays to low 3,000, I
Mhm.
mean, that's what happens also with the higher tier as well too. You have to watch out for K. So win rates and actually scouting for the higher
Right.
tier and making sure that those are aligned, not just kind of a little bit of a throw count, is a big thing.
And here's the thing: a lot of people ask us, well, how do you know these things are going on? We're always watching. Like, you guys don't see half the shit or the majority of the shit we do with regards to making sure people are falling in line with that kind of thing. Like, there is something brought up probably every day. It's like, hey, I noticed this thing. This person has this alt account. Is this an issue? Or hey, this person has this. This person has this. We're always paying attention to this out of the fairness for the league, guys, or out of the fairness for the community. I said the word. Oh God, Daddy Jeff is coming. So it's just I hear that concern and I get that, but I think it's something that we're always mindful. And Alela brought up an interesting thing earlier about, like, by doing this, are we limiting strategy? I mean, it's a double-edged sword, and that's the problem with having the two map thing. Is yes, it does create a situation where you do limit strategy in some instances, but unfortunately, it's a system that also would be easily abused if you went the other way. And we saw that last season when we didn't have the minimum 2 maps. So,
and also, sorry,
go on.
Jump. All I was gonna say is, like, your roster composition matters. Like, I know for my team we stick at 8, and it's basically I know who's going to be subbing in and out, and it's there. We go at 8 because we want to have the best. But if we went to 10, I could see it's a nightmare, and you're not really getting the same cohesion. So it's like, you got to find that sweet spot. Whatever's good for you. I mean, as a team, but like, yeah, you got to figure that out for yourself. But it's another wrinkle in the strategy game, right? So you just got to figure that out.
We're gonna go ahead and move on, guys. Obviously, if there's more questions, we're happy to have additional discussions later. We understand that some players are kind of pigeonholed onto one character, but we have to draw the line at some point, because if we don't draw the line, people abuse it the other direction, and just human nature. People kind of suck sometimes.
And it's one of those things. Most laws that are in place are because people are stupid.
Exactly.
Because legitimately, you might be right, and it might be something where it's limiting what strategy you have. However, there are people that are going to abuse it, and it's going to be hard to differentiate that.
Yeah, you need to build a law to basically represent the 10% or of the guys who will go out of their way to abuse it.
Correct.
So it's like, I can drive like a champ. Like, I can drive 120 miles an hour and never crash my car. Well, yeah, the guy over here who drives 80 will crash. So we got to set the limit at 60 or whatever.
So anyways, we'll move on to the next thing here, guys. The next question on the list is, this is from Abe of the Meta Rejects. Meta Rejects is about 50-50 going to split between tiers, for instance, or something along those lines. I didn't say future season 2. Anyways, some in the upper bracket, some to the lower bracket. Do we try to salvage the team, add new members, or we just crest as a whole new team? How do we go about signing up a team? Lots of questions here about the upcoming season. Cav, I'm going to let you take this one.
Yeah, and this is kind of where we start getting into like our expectations. So, like I said here, is like, this is up to you. If you have a leader and you want to be affiliate teams, and that's how we're going to refer to it, guys, affiliate teams. Like, if you want to be an affiliate team, for instance, like you're Meta Rejects, and you want to have a low team and a high team, that's fine. You can be affiliate teams, but you are separate entities. Okay, I want to hammer that home. However, teams must have unique names for their affiliate team counterpart. I know a lot of teams have been talking about using the academy or university tags, using their lower team's branding. I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to approve those names. We are a community of teams, and right now you can be affiliate. Sorry, lost my space. Yeah, you'll be required to have your own identity to avoid confusion, as well as giving your team your own identity. A good example of this would be teams' names like Meteors and Comets. You can see that they are linked, but you can also understand they are two separate teams. Meta Rejects and Meta Rejects University, for example, it is not clear, and the implication should be that this is not a farm team that only supports the upper team. As mentioned, the buck stops with me. If you're interested in signing up a team, you'll need to go through me to register your team into the league.
So guys, when Cav created the teams, he creates these brands. He's part of creating these brands. Obviously, some of you guys have brands that you already kind of brought in, but Cav throws his resources to help create these brands and make them into things. You know, like Fighting Potatoes was just an idea, and now it's its own brand. Solo Cup, same thing. Now they're brands. Like Ascension, yeah, like the same thing, guys. Like these are things that Cav dumped time and effort into creating, but we want to give people brands to rally behind. Like I still rally behind the Fighting Potatoes because I was there for a long time. I rally behind the Meta Rejects, you know, even though that's not what the team stands for, really. But at the same time, like I still
filthy liars.
deal with it. I still rally behind that moniker, and we want to create brands for people to rally behind. Meteors and Comets is a great example. Like if you just had those names, you wouldn't know like who's the quote unquote A team and B team.
Solo Cup and Beer Pog.
It'd be that kind of thing, right? Like we want to create two individual brands that are directly affiliated, and we want to
the Rhinestein.
Yeah, so it's more fun that way for everybody involved. So does anybody have anything else they want to add to that?
No. Spooderman had a question about SR be able to join a team in each tier. I don't know if we've covered that.
Assuming you're SR, would you be able to join in each team in each tier? Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I would say
yeah.
On-air
One
production
team.
meeting, probably not.
Yeah, teams matches are going to be on the same day. I don't think we're going to change off the Wednesday thing just because that's what we have set in stone. Unless something drastically changes, Cav?
Yep, you're right there. As far as planning right now,
Right.
I have no plans to break off.
But we'll have more about affiliate teams as we're going on here, so bear with me. Bear with us here as we're continuing on. This is actually the next question here. Paraspark from Havoc. Met him this weekend. Cool guy. What are the SR ranges going to be for the two tiers? We've already covered that. Are they going to have relationships like academy teams? We say that again. They can call up lower tier players to fill for a week or a higher tier if needed. What coaching improvements will they or won't they share? And here's again the tiers, and we actually have names here. Oh boy, name review.
I saw
guys.
they wanted Harmony in Discord, but I mean it's still up in the air. I guess we can always change it.
Names might change, guys, but right now it's the alpha tier at 2,800 to 3,600 with an average of 32 to 3,250. Again, these numbers could still change. These aren't 100% set in stone, but these are the approximate ranges where people will be. So again, these might shuffle a little bit. And then the Omega tier, 2,000 to 3,000 with a 26 to 2650 SR average. Again, still set to be average here, guys, or still set to be fully determined, set in stone. Things might change, so stay tuned. We'll be sure to let you know when we know more information, but right now it's the alpha tier and the Omega tier. Cav, do you want to take the affiliate system we've discussed?
Basically, yeah. So you can become an affiliate to another team. Like, let's say you wanted to start. I'll use the Meteors Comets example. Like, let's say Meteors splits and becomes Meteors and Comets. You can choose right off the bat to be like, yep, Comets will be the affiliate team to Meteors. We both agree. Each team will have to have its own GM and team captain. And the reason for this is, again, going back to that whole farm system. I want the lower team to have as much power as the upper team to block or veto a shift. So, like, I don't want one person in power. So, like, being a GM of the upper and the lower and making decisions that are beneficial to one but not the other. Now, if your two GMs are on the same page, I can't stop that. But this is just basically a little bit of a stopgap that I tried to put in. If I had the example where, let's say, Harmony decides that Potatoes would become our affiliate, and I want to call up Sneaky can block me because it's not in her best interest for me to take somebody from her team. What the affiliate team's benefit is that you can get around that rule of another Tranquility player cannot sub for you. So you can actually have a call-up system and say, okay, we're missing somebody this week. We want to call up from the lower team to come up to the upper team, or vice versa. But it's all based on SR, right? So, like, you can't bring down your Masters player and play in the lower league. Like, you'd have to take one of your lower players. That's why there's a bit of an overlap there to kind of facilitate that.
And upper
Yeah,
tier
that's
players who
correct.
fall in those SR ranges could, in theory, also go down. They go both ways, guys. It's
Yeah.
not.
Mhm.
It's not a single system with regards to how that balances out. So, again, this all goes back to the whole thing. We're not creating a farm system. We're creating 2 tiers, 2 more balanced, competitive tiers. Zuby died.
Oh, it's not me this time.
Oh, he got.
He gone.
Oh,
He's back. Zuby, we missed you. We thought you were dead.
The Discord died on me. 1 sec.
Oh no! All right,
Okay.
he's coming back. In the meantime, guys, we're gonna move on to the. I don't see.
Kitty had a question earlier.
She did?
Could you
Okay.
be a coach, GM of one team, and then a player on another team? Okay.
To me,
Oh, there it is.
oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, coaching. Anybody can be a coach.
Mhm.
I have no problem with that. In theory, yeah. Because coaches technically have no leadership authority unless they're in that GM or team captain. So yes, in theory, you can do that. On paper, right now, in my head.
Here's one.
Until otherwise, I say no.
Zuby.
Here's one that we can throw out there because this was probably one teams will ask: can a player in the higher tier be a GM/coach of a team in the lower tier?
They could be a coach. And I think Tab was saying
A
that.
coach, I would say no to the GM spot.
Right. No roster
need to be-
decisions. Right.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, guys. This kind of goes back to what we as an admin team are constantly watching things. If we see somebody who is clearly trying to circumvent the system, we'll put an end to it. Like, and even if it's just a perception that you're gaming the system, we're still gonna call you out because.
And sorry, the other thing I was going to say is don't take it personally. Like if we're questioning you on something, we're doing it for the betterment of the league or the community. It's not that we're like, oh, I would never do that. I'm like, I'm not saying you would, but this is what it looks like, and this is what we're concerned about.
Right.
Because we have had that situation a couple times this season.
Perception is important too. Like,
Yep.
if you seem like you're being shifty, but you're not necessarily, we still are going to call you out on it, and that's just how it's going to be because we're doing this for everybody, not just your team.
We all have a pretty good bullshit radar.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a kid as old as a lot of the people in the league, so
Yeah.
he threw a lot of shit.
So we're gonna
Don't
move on.
look at though.
We'll move on here to the next question here. Gordy Mack from Gravity. Will there be a roster lock or trade deadline? And so, if so, how early on into the season? Seeing top talent switch teams later on this season and make an impact on games could have an impact on playoff seeding. Cab, do you want to go ahead with this one?
Sure. So basically, just gonna read this out. Your roster lock deadline has always been at the start of the season. That's when we actually physically lock players in. And we basically only stop movement at playoffs. Players move on quick, get burned out consistently. There is no reasonable reason to prevent a roster from adding a player late in the season if they have the cap space to support it. The team adding the player late is actually at a disadvantage as they have to use the player's current SR as their measure, whereas teams that have had the same players on their roster from the entire season could have players with 400 above their SR right now, and there are teams in the league that have this. It's more of a team management issue, and unfortunately, the argument of this team was in week 1 was easier than they were in week 13 is not a valid argument. That they have cap space, they're allowed to use it.
Right. With regards to, and it kind of goes back to the whole thing of teams aren't made of assets; they're made of players. They're made
Right.
of people. If Thug was miserable on Alt F4 and wanted to leave tomorrow, and they needed to pick up somebody to fill that spot, I mean, they'll probably pick up a mailbox to replace him. But
Hard Lucio butt.
yeah, hard Lucio.
Blow up doll.
I would say
That looks quite young.
Yeah. No, but
Quite
really,
young.
what it comes
Benjamin
down, what it comes down to, guys, is we don't want people to, we don't want that, we don't want people to feel like they're stuck with a shitty situation. Like, and I get the aspect of like, oh, now suddenly this team is really good. Well, we're people. Like, in the end, that's what matters more than anything else. We're not getting paid to do this shit. You know, it just is what it is. Like, that's not gonna. I don't foresee that changing. But players do lock in. Rosters completely lock in the playoffs.
Mhm.
So people don't have.
Yeah,
to
then
show
it's
up.
kind of like, oh no, so and so got shot to the moon. I'm like, "Bleh,
Sucks.
your dreams are cheap."
So just
Like,
one,
like it's unfortunate.
What you
one
got?
question that I have for that too, because there could be situations where, and this is surprising, but I genuinely see it happening. A player or team needs a sub for playoffs. What would be the situation?
I mean, last time we didn't really have a big
There aren't
sub
hard
rule.
rules.
That's something we'll have to look at actually.
Yeah.
Because
That-
I don't
that's hard.
think something written down.
Right, and well, something we'll have a lot of work to do before season 3. This will be one of the things, I'm sure.
Yes.
Moving on to the next question. Can we make it a rule to see if you are the first person to say GG that you must also say the score? From Tim Mojo from Alt F4. I'll take this one. Tim, take your social. Yeah, quit being a douchebag, Tim. Get out of here. No, that's no. But put the score in anyways. If you think about it, people want to know. Inquiring minds are asking. So, but no, Tim. Anybody want to add anything to that?
No.
Fight the Red Army.
Tim, I don't actually hate you.
Jojo.
Anyways, moving on to the next question here, guys. This is a long question here from Gordy Mac. There was a question raised by Paris Spark about lower teams being connected to higher team. If so, a lower league player makes a midseason move to the higher league, can they only sign for their parent team? If it boils down to emphasize on a franchise-wide roster building in order to plan for the development of the lower league as well as the departure of higher league players, resulting in franchises valuing both rosters that rely on free agency. Sorry for the mouthful. I can elaborate further in discussion if need be.
What face?
You what, mate?
Use more, period.
Thug, do you want to take this one?
I would say a team's not really required to have an affiliate. It's just an option. So you're not locked to a franchise that can obviously release themselves. I've kind of circled back to this a lot. We're not commodities, and we don't sign contracts. There's nothing's legally binding. They can come and go. It behooves affiliates to work together in kind of in a harmony thing and use each other as substitutes. But no, I mean, long story short, they can do whatever the fuck they want.
People, not assets.
People, not assets. Ideally, again,
Right.
Perfect world, everything's great. They have a good relationship between these larger tier spanning organizations. So you don't have that issue, but there's going to be people that aren't going to be down for it. So
100%. Let's move on here to the next question. That's pretty straightforward. Next question is from Mudkip from the community.
The community. That's going to be the name of a team. Someone take that now.
Yeah.
The community.
Mudkip, when is the expected start time of season 3? Are there any events that will happen during the off season? Hey, Mudkip, I just want to give a shout out real quick to Pugs. Play with Pugs. Play with Mudkip. Mudkip's a cool dude, guys. Y'all should play with Mudkip more.
I love Mudkip.
Yeah, everybody loves Mudkip. This is kind of my thing again, and I know Cav is also working on something with this too, and I'll let him cover that. We will have stuff during the off season. I will be planning a lot of that. So stay tuned for that. Season 3 is going to start about 2 months after season 2. Prospective start date's going to be end of July or maybe early August. Kind of depends on things. Tentative right now, July 24th or July 31st. But again, kind of up in the air, guys. We'll get back to that.
It also depends how successful we are. Like normally in the previous seasons, I put a little bit too much time. I kind of played a conservative estimate on how quick we would move, and we moved a lot. So this time I'm kind of, I don't know, lighting a fire under my own ass to a certain extent to get it all done within that time frame. In terms of off-season tournaments, I know Impers brought that one up several times. I have talked with Owlet. They're basically a very similar tournament to us, and they're actually moving into playoffs right now. And I talked with their director, Bort, and he mentioned that this is something he'd be interested in talking about after they're out of playoffs. And so we might see like a summer tournament over a weekend or a week or so. So just stay tuned for that. That's kind of cooking on the back burner right now.
That would be really awesome. Good way for good additional exposure for the community as well.
Overlap as well too.
Webb had a question, and I want to make sure that we're answering it here. In terms of coaches, will coaches be similar to players, where it is open coaching roles, or will they be more assigned? So, will they be more so assigned to teams, or in the case of Alva-tiered players, coaching your affiliate? From what I understand, coaches are basically going to function in the same way they are now. You can coach any team, like. teams will have assigned coaches who can like sit in on matches. Like Zuby sits in with solo cup matches. That's a coach that he like signed up as their coach for that team. But there are situations like I know, for instance, Nerdables had talked to try to help out the Potatoes a little bit, so he was open to like helping them out, just like in discussion and things like that. Like
I've
watching
helped
a
Sugar Rush as well too for different things.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to police that. It's about getting better. Guys.
Yeah,
I
mean, exactly. Coaches are there to be helpful. They're there to try and help you get better as a team. Now you can certainly say, I'm only going to coach team X,
Right.
And that's my prerogative because I want my team to win. But there are a lot of people that just want to help out other teams, and that's great. I have no problem with that. So there's restrictions to a certain extent because like if you're going to go into the match and help them in the match, as like kind of like a spectator to a certain extent, watching and kind of taking a look and see what's going on, then yeah, there's going to be limitations in that regard. But in terms of just wanting to help out, no, there really won't be.
I think it's kind of, it goes to, you never know until you ask.
Right.
I know I've asked Zuby, hey, any feedback for us on this point, giving us good feedback. Like Nerdables, like he said, he's helped us with stuff before. Sometimes you just got to ask other coaches for feedback and other teams. And hey, what did you see? You guys kicked our ass on Blizzard World. How the hell? What did you see that we did? How did you do that? I would say 95% or higher of the teams will be like, oh, we saw this and did this. You guys should try something different. It's the beauty of playing each other once kind of a thing in this sense. You're not really giving away your strats, but this is a community that wants to help each other. So please continue to reach out to each other, ask questions. Triage and I had a very lengthy conversation after our match too, and just kind of talked about different things we did. It's
Spicy
fun. It
water,
helps.
boys.
Spicy water.
We want to help each other. This is what the goal of the community was. It's not about big bucks on the line or big prizes. It's about just helping each other out, becoming better players, and having some fun along the way. So next question on the list here, Kingdom from Meta Rejects. He's a pretty good tank. Is there a possibility of establishing some sort of relationship with other communities that run tournaments like us? We already kind of mentioned that. The other question here is, are we allowed to resurrect now dead teams like Edgelords or Fish Sticks and rename them? We kind of covered the outlet stuff already. Let's talk about the individual, like resurrecting old teams, Cav.
Yeah. So, I had to think about this one, and I'm gonna say no to this. Unless you're a former member of that team and you want to resurrect it and maintain the same. Even though these teams failed, they're no longer in the community. I know Fish Sticks in particular loves their team name and logo, and this would also protect teams in the future. Like if Harmony and Chaos disbanded, I wouldn't want the team to come in as like the Helmet Wings or something like that, right? So,
Helmet Wings.
So in theory, like the only person that could resurrect Fish Sticks would probably be Black Ninja on Illusion. If he
right,
Godspeed.
Or
Godspeed
if Dyda and Convexity came back, something like that too.
If you want to bring the team back as Fish Sticks, like that, it's a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I don't think we should be doing it unless it's basically an approved resurrection. I don't know. Right. That's my thoughts on it.
We want to give people teams brands to rally around, not old brands, new brands, new logos.
Right.
But old teams are fun too, even if they don't have anyone from the roster and only the coach too. Don't.
I mean, to be honest, I kind of like making the logos for everybody, so it's kind of that's more one of my things, guy. So don't take away my cocaine.
Give him his joy.
All right, we'll move on to the next question here. Specs from Sugar Rush. Will every player in the upper division required to play 2 maps like in the league currently? We've already discussed that. So we're not going to spend a whole heap of time here, guys. Yes, this is not going away. It's a fundamental part of the creation of this community. Or of the goals of this community, that yes, you will play 2 maps. This is not going to change. So,
well, this actually, Horace had a question. He's like, yeah, remove that average, that cap restriction, and it's just like, unless we're playing in the top tiers, we still got to have that, in my opinion. We still need to have that average, because if we're taking right now as it's written down, plats to masters, it matters. So that's my theory on it. Good or bad, but that's kind of where I sit with it. And just, if I'm totally out to lunch, then consider changing it. But I think most people would come to agree with me.
No, I think that's kind of like you said, that and Yeti kind of touched on it too. It's not, doesn't necessarily line up with the goals of the community, and doesn't necessarily line up with the goals of what we're trying to create and establish. And we've said it. It's unfortunate there are going to be players that graduate from the league, but we view it as a good thing. As unfortunate it might be, again, there's still plenty of opportunities for you to stay involved with the community, but that choice is yours.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next question here, guys. This is from Nerdables from Havoc. SR caps and floors be necessary for the upper tier. Something we've already covered. Obviously,
this is basically what we just talked about.
Basically what we just talked about, the open tier. We're not going to go into this again. We've already discussed it. Again, we're always going to be open to discussion on these things, guys. We want to encourage you all to come forward and talk to us about your feelings on everything, but this is not something at this exact moment that we're going to be really changing this time. Next question here. Basically, we're just going to kind of open it up to chat here if there's any additional questions, and then I think we have a couple more things as well here.
Looks like a summary of some sort.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to chime in with any questions of any kind, now would be the time. So
get right in.
Talk to me, Goose.
What you got, baby?
Highway through danger zone.
Oh, it's a banger, dude. That shit slaps.
Mudkip, yeah, Mudkip. I mean, we're going to be continuing to discuss things about the SR ranges. That's our goal right now, is about what we have. That could change, and it very well could change. But again, we have to kind of consider the community as a whole, not just those exceptional players at the very, very top. So,
I would say pineapple, yes, on pizza, because to be honest, man, pizza's a lot like sex. No matter how bad it is, it's still pretty good.
Impers, to answer your question, yes. Not mid-season, but postseason, absolutely. Yes, you can graduate from teams. Like if your team this next season is in the Omega tier, and next season you want to go into the Alpha tier, absolutely. No reason why.
I just wanted to point out some the people that are asking for the relatively high cap, almost up to G. The reason why we're not doing that is because we don't have enough people in the league to facilitate teams to do that. We'd have to go out and get teams that are that. We're at that point, it's basically like, we don't want to remodel the house. We have to go put an entire extension on the house. Like that's the difference. And I get, if you're in that range, like, it sucks. I mean, I understand that, but we have to, again, draw that line in the sand.
And there are probably like 8 to 10 players who are in the community now who might not be able to play next season. It sucks. We don't want that, but it just, in order to keep balance where it is, like we have to draw the line at a certain point. And again, these lines might move. So just because you're at 3,800 now and you can't play doesn't mean in a month and a half we might have a 3,800 cap.
Right.
That could change, guys. So I know that.
Trust me, I'm whittling them down as it goes along, guys. The only
Zuby is trying to represent the higher tier.
Yeah, I'm trying, guys.
Like I said, it's an ongoing discussion. Things very easily could change. So don't assume anything at this exact moment in time. I'm just looking on here. More feature matches.
Gios with the admin question. He's curious about like potential opening in administration and also the expansion, which we will actually touch on.
Yep.
My son.
Yep.
There will be more of that in the next little bit. This right now is just more open questions, like anything we haven't elaborated.
Yeah, we have some stuff about the expansion of our administration and our production stuff at the very end of this cast here. I know Yojak, you just asked about that as well. Stay tuned, guys. More to come there.
Promises.
Yeah, no, Yojak. We need more patient people. We need to figure out somehow how we can organize a talk matches to be casted. without me pulling my hair out.
In
Got
person,
him.
in person, with regards to your question, we would love that, but we need to have the manpower behind it. That's just the key thing. We can't ask Nerdables to take on 4 open division, but we could affiliate things down the line. Absolutely, it's something we want to touch on.
Mhm.
Yeah, if there's enough demand, right? Like, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason why if Dally wanted to come forward today and say, "Hey, I want to start an open division
It's
team,"
always you, Jack.
He just
Yo,
showed
Jack,
up.
it's always you. It's always you. It's just always you.
It's always Yo Jack. But if Dally came forward today and said, "Hey, I want to create a new open division team, and I want to work with the league to do it," if we can devote the resources, we're gonna help. It's just what we want to do. We want to encourage more league exposure and more
Right.
people to graduate from the community and represent us at that top tier level. So it's up to the band pretty much. So anyways, let's see here. I'm looking around for questions. I'm seeing you won't vote for your team when we vote for the features. Of course I won't, because a lot of people who want it would constantly vote for themselves. That's not what it's about. It's about what the community wants. And besides, just in case you guys were wondering, I'll quickly announce it. Week 13 feature match is Havoc and Alta 4. They'll be taking place here. I don't think the date's fully determined yet. I know you're working on it, Thug.
Mm-hmm.
And then week 14 feature match is going to be Meta Rejects versus Otaku. So stay tuned, guys. Dates will be announced for those as they come.
Tacos is on the way.
I don't
Taco.
I love tacos, bruh.
don't think we had any additional questions right now.
No,
So
I don't see
I'm going to
either.
jump into kind of just a quick summary of everything here. So season 3 beginning in about 2 months. There's the split tiers right now. Again, subject to change. The goal is to have about 12 to 16 teams per tiers. Teams may be affiliated, call up and send down privileges. We've already talked about that. That's all part of it. And then the last thing is each team is going to have their own leadership structure. Again, these are separate tiers of separate teams, that are affiliated, but they are separately managed. So keep that in mind, guys. All right. I think that's it here for the summary.
No, there's a couple more summaries.
Oh, here we go.
There's 2 pages.
Yeah, sorry about that. So teams in the league are required to have unique name and branding. Lower tiers and upper tiers, basically you can't call yourself Gravity Academy. That ain't gonna fly. We're not okay with that.
No.
Feature matches will be held on Sunday. Standard date.
I'm still Cup University, unfortunately. As cool as that would sound.
Solo Cup in University.
There we go. Old teams may not be resurrected, and all new teams must be approved by commissioner. As always, as Cav said, the buck stops with him. If he smells bullshit, he will call bullshit. The way it's gonna be. So, on that note, guys, we have one more.
One more page.
Yep. Suspensions and leave of absences. This is something that was kind of decided on as the team went around here. In season 2, if you have 3 misses, you are suspended. When a player is suspended, it causes a recalculation of the SR of the player who wants to come back to the roster. The higher number SR is always taken. So basically, if you just disappear for a long time, guys, it sucks, but we're not going to let you do that because it also creates a situation where people could, in theory, manipulate that SR minimum or that SR cap. That's just not something we're going to be dealing with. And then if a team willfully suspends a player to make SR average number works, that player must also have their SR calculated under the rule above. It encourages team management and it encourages active players. Should a player need to take a leave of absence for personal or health reasons, they may. They choose to suspend themselves for 4 weeks minimum, depending on if the team leadership agrees. Their SR will be removed, but their SR average will not suffer a recalculation when they return. They are not eligible to return early in this circumstance. So, for instance, this kind of came up actually. We had an individual step forward who said, I need to take some time away. Initially, the rule was, if you don't show up, you're going to get suspended. Well, we kind of had a discussion. We agreed we need to be a little bit more lenient on it, but we also need to not let it be something that ends up being abused. And again, laws are to cater to that 10% of the people who suck and will abuse things. So if you need to take a leave for mental health, for family reasons, you can. It's a month minimum, and it's self-imposed. So if you use captains this season, for example, if Rush came forward and said, hey, Gordy Mac needs to take a month off, we would need to make sure that Gordy Mac is like, yes, I knew I need to get away. If he can't answer for some reason, I'm sure there's going to be some sort of conversation that did take place in order to facilitate it. It's about actually taking leaves of absences for real reasons. Life happens, and we know that, but we don't want to punish people for having a death in their near family or feeling like Overwatch is killing them, that kind of thing. So let's see here. I think. Oh, here we go, guys.
That's That's the last one.
So we were asking about the future position or future expansion of our administration. Right here, guys, as you can see, we're going to be having Cav will maintain as that full top tier. Or the final end all say all is Cav. He's a creator. He is our league's commissioner. We're gonna have two sub commissioners. Cav will be commissioning the alpha tier. And then Thug is getting a promotion to be the Omega tier sub-commissioner. So basically, they will be the initial go-tos for any issues related to like tier business or anything like that, like your matches, roster stuff. Those will be the guys you go to. So next season, we will be bringing in 2 new moderators. So right now, myself, I'll be a senior monitor as well as Gillamed. We'll be taking in 2 additional moderators. If you are interested in that, please reach out to Cav. We'll be probably making a decision on that, Cav, I would imagine fairly quickly, but upon season ending, correct?
Upon season ending. Yeah, well, because then you'll be part of the team to help build up for season 3.
Exactly.
I know. Zuby's gone, Nerdables. Or is he?
I know.
Or is he?
But wait, there's more.
But wait, we have more. So next season, we're also going to be changing up things on how we do our productions. Productions are a huge part of what we are as a community.
Right.
And we want to make sure that our productions are polished, are clean, and are consistent. So part of that, again, Zuby is still an admin. That is not going away. He is our
Can't get rid of me.
He's our executive producer.
I stay with you like luggage.
And then I'm going to be managing the podcast. Now,
He's like herpes.
we're going to have our goal is to get 2 additional producers. These are people who will be doing the production side of matches. Zuby, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So with this right now, it'll actually be me like training individual people on how to produce games, as well as I will be showing you how to work with the OBS overlays, as well as giving you the tools that you need. The main kind of stick with this is that you have to have some sort of like macro board, because it makes it a little bit easier for you to go with these overlays. The angles and stuff like that I can work on, and I can show you how to piece together a story. When it comes to that, and also casting recruitment, that one is a little bit different. That one I'm actually looking more for personality-wise, as well as someone who doesn't step over everyone's feet when they're doing that, but also still has like a good energy to make matches fun. Because you know what, when you guys watch the production, you want it to be fun. Like it's a special moment for the teams that get to play, as well as the people that get to watch. So you want it to be entertaining as possible.
Now, Zuby, you mentioned that we're recruiting these casters. I'm assuming you're looking for like not necessarily people who are in set duos, but like people we're gonna have set duos once the season starts. Like you
Yes.
2 will always be together. These 2 will always be together. That kind of thing, right?
Yeah. So we would actually have like a set pool, for
Mhm.
example, which with casting it works 2 ways. You have the color caster, which is a person who is the one that like slowly, gradually reads you the play-by-play, lets you know what goes on, and then you have the shoutcaster, the guy who's making those and talking about those big impactful moments when a stream is going on. He's the one that has the energy. Like a Cav joked about myself when he watches a solo cup stream, and then in between each map, I'm the guy yelling, "Let's fucking go, dude!" Something like that, except obviously a little bit cleaner.
No, that's pretty accurate.
So if you're interested in becoming a caster, or if you already have a duo in mind, like Light Rose and Gordy, you guys were pretty good together. Maybe you want to talk to Zuby about, hey, maybe as a duo, could we
as long as Light Rose, you don't do that ending things on a slow note when you say stuff, because I ripped you with that new one last time. But you did a good job.
Justifiably so. But anyway, I'm just kidding. But like I said, if you're interested in becoming caster, you don't have to be registered in a duo, but please talk to Zuby. Zuby knows a lot of people in this community. He knows your voices and he knows your personalities.
Right.
So,
As well as even within that fact too, if I can't find it within the community, I am going to be looking externally, which I have connection to communities there where it's like broadcasting. But if you do want to do production or interested, it's really fun. As well as, you know what, you get to piece together and tell a story for upwards of 40 to 50 people.
yes.
Next year is probably more.
Yeah, we're trying to get the Twitch channel partnered for next season. That's my long-term goal.
That'd be dope.
So
That would be amazing if we were partnered.
Yeah.
So.
And also, in this listing here, there's also social media.
Yep.
People that can, if you just want to it's basically Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure that we're up to date on Twitter. I'm pretty delinquent on Twitter and Facebook, to be quite honest.
myself included. I usually just follow a lot of the retweets along there. We'd be having someone with like the social media campaign that would basically be like having up-to-date scores. That's one of the goals for the Twitter there, as well as keeping up to date with announcements.
Yep.
So you kind of scour throughout, but it's still good. And you know what? We can figure out some way to reward whoever does that, even if it's personal coaching that we could have for myself. So there's some incentive, guys. It's a little backsheesh.
So the podcast turned into a much bigger thing than we anticipated going into the season.
Yeah.
And I know Thug and I are in the same boat on that. So at the beginning of the season, it kind of started scuffed. To be frank about it, it's very
ending
scuffed.
too.
And it's ending pretty scuffed too. But we have a lot of plans for next season. We want to do things a little bit differently. The first and foremost thing is we want to have a consistent casting crew. We're not going to do this rotating thing anymore. It's going to be a set foursome with one backup fifth. That will be all. So the reason that is, guys, is it makes my life a living hell having to navigate all these fucking people that participate in the podcast. I love you guys. But sorting out who's going to be on the podcast is a giant pain in the ass. So that said,
like getting casters. So.
Exactly. Like getting casters. Giant pain in the ass.
Imperse just meant somebody to help with the website. Yeah, same kind of deal. If there's somebody that wants to do it, that's one less thing.
Cat, we're floating around ideas for the website too. So if you want to get involved in that, talk to Cav. It's a great opportunity. So if you are interested in being a weekly podcaster on the Iris, we're looking for people who have that personality. We're looking for people who aren't afraid to say something that's going to get them an angry PM sometime. You know, I'm pretty sure some people in Solo Cup still might hold a grudge with me. You're welcome, Zuby.
I want round one of the playoffs to be Solo Cup versus Meta Read.
God, I just
or maybe
if that happened, and if we did beat them, I'm not saying we would. That's not what I'm getting at. But if it happened, that GIF would be repeatedly spammed into the general. I'm just saying. So, anyways, I know you don't actually hold a grudge, facetious, but like. Come in with a mindset to have fun. We're here not just to be people who read results. We're here to share opinions and be a little spicy and have fun with it. Like that's the goal here, guys. We want to make the community feel big. Like that's my goal as a podcast leader is let's make this community feel like freaking Overwatch League.
Yeah, dude.
Get that fire behind it. I want the Fighting Potatoes to feel like the freaking Shanghai Dragons. You know, like go on.
That's a great comparison.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but hey,
you're going to get so much shit.
I know it, but when they won,
the Shanghai Taters.
When they won, everyone wwas in on that, just like they were for the Shanghai Dragons. That's my
Ski Free was the problem, Crab Rave.
Yeah. Here you go, guys.
Or epic moments.
Everybody sees it again. All right, moving on. No, but it's true. Like I want people to, I want this to feel big, and that's the role of the podcast, is make this community feel massive. So next season, Thug and I will be continuing our podcast efforts that we started this season, and we'll be looking for 2 additional full-time casters, and we will look for 1 fill-in caster. In addition, obviously, is that social media opportunity that we've already discussed. They might be the same person. If that's the case, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. But we want to have a consistent voice, and we want to put more technology behind the podcast, and we will be doing that. So if you want to be a part of the podcast team, guys, reach out to me individually through a PM. We'll be making a decision on that again right as season 2 is ending, so we can start planning for season 3.
One thing I just wanted to touch base on, because I know it was brought up kind of briefly, was what the plan was going to be for playoffs this season in terms of how we're going to run.
Yes.
So I just kind of want to touch base. My plan right now is to do each round of the playoffs as its own week, on Wednesdays, until we get to like a final where we might move it, or a semifinal where we might move it. But as far as wild card and quarters, plan on playing on Wednesday.
If we have capacity to devote to, if you do move your match for some reason, and we have capacity to devote to producing it, we will try. There's no promises at any point.
I'm only one man, okay?
I mean, we will.
You guys ask so much with these stats and things. Data chip,
Give me
aka
stats!
Solo Cup.
Yes.
You know what? We try, but like, dude, my overlay and sources, I have 500 different individual things on OBS that I program through. So, cut me some slack.
So we want to give you as much as we can, but there's only so much we can do. That's why we're expanding next season, guys. So if you want to help out next season, now is your chance. Producers are gonna be the thing we're gonna want more than anything else, because that's gonna be the hardest to get. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So
I agree with Solitary.
But there will be interest as well too, because
Clone
we have
Zuby.
good viewership. We'll clone Zuby. That's the second easiest option, but with solid viewership, we keep these numbers up. I'm gonna have producers.
I saw Judge Dredd. We can speed up the process. It's fine.
Maybe, you know what, Zuby can cast again too sometime. You know, community.
Zuby's a
enjoyed
hell
that
of
for
a
season 1.
caster. I did like that a lot.
That's true. Zuby was a great caster for Season 1 Championship. If you haven't seen that, make sure to tune in on our community YouTube channel. Check that out. And it's a pretty cool place, I hear. Cav uploads those videos. I think the largest video only has like 40 views. Like, are y'all slacking? What the fuck?
It's
also likes to yell out, "Oh my god, I want you to do me on a regular basis."
It's
I
true.
do.
It's true.
I do.
It really happens a lot. So, guys, that's all we have for produced content. I want to open up the floor again if anybody has any additional things they want us to touch on, any questions. But kind of a longer town hall here. We rambled a lot. I'm sure we've already started a lot of debate, and I'm sure some people are like, I don't want to be here next season. Yeah. And leave it at that. So I'm looking here. I don't see anything.
Anyone? Any takers?
Going once.
Insults at me,
Twice.
because that seems to be the regular basis. Zuby, can you fucking switch the overlay so you don't miss like the first 10 seconds of a map?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
Zuby was the problem.
Zuby's always a problem.
So, on that note, guys, I don't think there's anything else to say. Cav, do you have anything additional you want to add to wrap up here, or
No, I think we covered mostly everything.
can you do multiple? What? Hold on a second. What did Light Rose ask?
Can you do multiple?
Multiple roles. He wants to know if you can be a caster and in the podcast and this and that.
I
and this
mean,
and that.
Yeah, if you can do all the work.
Yeah.
You have the sanity for it.
We're gonna
That's the
have
main-
very different expectations for all
Whoa,
the
okay,
roles.
Light Rose, easy.
Whoa!
That's
a microaggression, Light Rose.
But like, guys, the podcast is gonna be more involved next season. I'm telling you that right now. You're probably gonna have to review like 3 or 4 matches a week. Right now, you're doing 1 or 2. Next season, 3 or 4, at least. And you're probably gonna have to help produce content. You're gonna have to help come up with ideas. You're gonna have to drive the ship with me. So
Also,
Week 16 will be wild card.
Also
Yes.
for Daddy, by the way, Zuby equal bronze? No, it's Zuby goes from diamond to bottom 500. That's the goal. Not top 500. We're going bottom 500 this season, boyos.
wild card.
You've
is,
always been my bottom bit.
wild card is week 16. So if you are above,
Gotcha.
if you're above wild card, you technically have a bye week. So, just
Dunk Master Abe had a question about creating another channel in Discord for starting new teams. At this point, I probably say no. If you're interested, shoot a message to Cav that you're interested in there, and he may be able to give you some tips on recruiting. There's a bunch of people in free agent still. We're just going to try to keep the multiple Discord channels to a minimum.
we already have a shitload of Discord channels.
Not
Yeah,
the
there's
members
a
of my slave.
Ton of
Not,
Discord.
Not the members of my sweatshop, though. You guys, the slave labor doesn't stop. No, I'm not letting you go. You don't escape from me.
You're not product. You're people. Just you can
No,
go.
no,
It's
no,
fine.
no, no, no. They're workers.
You can run.
Fine.
You can run. It's okay.
So guys,
okay. I promise.
if you
You
have
can.
additional questions, we're gonna leave the town hall chat open. So when are you able to apply for positions? Anytime. You could whisper one of us right now. If you want the moderator positions, social media, Cav. If you want to do,
Yep. We're not going to be making any decisions today.
Yes, exactly.
But if you want to apply for it, by all means, put it in, and then we'll be talking about it come closer to the end of the season.
We're a spicy group, bro.
Exactly.
We're a spicy group.
To reiterate, moderator positions and social media, Cav. If you're interested in production or casting, that'd be Zuby. If you are interested in podcast-related business, come to Yeti. I don't, and again, you can.
If you're interested in socially drinking, come see Thug.
Yeah, Thug he's good for social
Or
media.
the Secret of Youth.
He's also has the
as well.
most serious face when he's playing Battletoads. Saying.
Dude, this shit's intense.
It is intense.
Also, if you want to become a shapeshifter like Thug was on the
Fucking-
international meetup,
Dude, I'm not a
Twitch stream,
shapeshifter.
he was a shapeshifter.
Oh, I kind of was a shapeshifter. There
That's
was
true. He
Thugging
was.
Beard,
Beardington. And we also
Beardington?
had Cuckington.
Cuckington. Oh my god, that's brilliant. I love it. Oh my god, I have so many pings on Discord already. You guys are ridiculous.
That's all right.
So we, on that note, like I said, we're gonna leave the town hall chat open a little longer, guys. If anybody wants to tune in, they can certainly do that. And I would encourage you to ask questions if you have them. I did want to share some pictures from Discord just because, kind of wrapping here with some cool pictures from our awesome meetup week that happened here, just for everybody to look at, just because I think that's a fun thing. So we have the speedboat tour from the Chicago group here. Looks like they're having a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure Light Rose is very cold.
I think I can confirm he looks soups cold.
He looks soups cold. And then going up further here, we had, check out Kitty Baka's online store, just saying. Stuff here from the LAN tournament. We have Red Gear and Light Rose. That was pretty awesome. You can check out the VOD on that. Here is the dad
Look at
cast.
that. He's so
Look at these two
adorable.
guys. That's awesome. You guys can look through these on your own time. Here is Timojo, the real face of fear. The unofficial Nebraska meetup between Spooderman and Beth Khan. Guys, it was a lot of fun. Like going.
That's my Mr. Clean. That is my Mr. Clean right there.
Spooderman. Guys, and here's basically Havoc, Satirical, Budgie, Dunzo, Nerdables, and Courage. Played mini golf. It was a rousing game. Kingdom had his meetup.
Did you say it was rousing or arousing?
Rousing.
Yes.
Take your pick. Dealer's choice.
Rousing. They're
choice.
teenagers.
The
damn
Atlanta
it.
meetup was.
The Atlanta
was
meetup was lit, as you
fire.
can see. And then here is the Minnesota or Minneapolis meetup. Lots of potatoes, few Alta, four guys, Paris Spark. That was awesome.
We tall as fuck, be honest
Yeah,
with you.
guys. I mean, the meetups were amazing. We will be doing meetups again. Here's the.
I think we have a couple of them. were
Show
posted
LA
just
a
at the,
riot.
at the beginning.
There's LA. LA is right here, guys.
Oh, we got the Toronto too. You can't forget about us Canadians. You know, you gotta. You gotta
A bunch
respect
of you did forget.
it. Yeah.
Ooh, savage. Ooh.
Weber, that dog bet isn't gonna sleep in itself. Okay. Cav is still winning.
But yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot else here to share. Not that we have.
Show Dirty Dicks. Show.
Oh yeah, show
Dicks.
Dirty Dicks. Dirty Dicks is Cav's bar in his basement. So, but again, guys, obviously the meetups were a lot of fun. I would really encourage you guys next season. You have an opportunity to be a part of that. And oh god, it's my face. Hi everyone. Do it next season. It's really fun. Do you guys have anything else to add? I've been dragging on way too long here. People are probably tired of me.
Sorry, there was one last thing we didn't see in the meetup photos. There was a couple of photos that got posted right there at the end.
At the very end? Oh god, you make me do
Yeah.
too much work here. Make me scroll through this
Had
shit.
a couple of close-up profile shots.
Oh yeah, look at that guy there. He looks good. And look at this guy here. That's two.
Yeah, man.
For the record, that's two chins. For those of you who are counting. Anyways, moving on. Thanks,
That
Amy.
is a happy boy. boy. That is a happy boy we got right there.
All right, guys. On that note, I have nothing additional to add. I've wasted your time more than I needed to. So on that note, thank you guys very much for tuning in and listening to us ramble about Season 3. For Cav, for Zuby, for Thug, and for everyone in the Tranquility community, we appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you next week when the podcast returns.
Experience tranquility.